People often imagine strength as something loud, the ability to dominate, to push through, to never fall apart. But real strength is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself or shout to be seen. It's the kind of strength that appears in silence, in moments when no one is watching, when a person faces themselves and chooses to keep going anyway. Many underestimate how much power there is in staying calm when life feels uncertain. The human mind has an instinct to control, to predict, to fix. But sometimes, strength means doing the opposite, letting go of control and trusting that you will find your way through what you don't yet understand. Inner strength is not about being untouched by pain. It's about knowing that pain is part of transformation. Every struggle, every disappointment, every period of confusion carries within it a quiet invitation to grow beyond what you were before. The people who seem the most grounded are rarely the ones who never fall. They are the ones who have fallen many times and learned to rise without losing their softness. It's easy to mistake emotional numbness for strength. When people are hurt, they often build walls, closing themselves off from connection, pretending that nothing affects them. But that kind of detachment doesn't create peace. It only creates distance. Real strength doesn't require pretending. It allows vulnerability to exist without letting it take over. There is something profoundly powerful in the ability to stay kind even when life has not been kind to you. That's not weakness. That's mastery of the inner world. Because kindness, in its pure form, is a choice that arises not from naivete, but from wisdom, the wisdom that understands everyone carries invisible battles. When people lose direction, they often think something is wrong with them. But confusion is not failure. Confusion means the old self is no longer working, and the new one is still forming. Strength in this stage is about patience, giving yourself permission to be in transition without rushing to label it as chaos. We live in a culture that rewards productivity and certainty. You're expected to have a plan, a goal, a clear identity. Yet the most meaningful periods of growth often begin with not knowing who you are. Those who are brave enough to sit in that uncertainty often discover something that cannot be achieved through control, a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Inner peace doesn't come from eliminating problems. It comes from changing the way you meet them. Life will always bring moments that test your balance, but every challenge gives you a chance to choose awareness over reaction. When you stop fighting what is and instead observe it, you begin to respond from wisdom instead of fear. The real test of inner strength happens when no one validates you, when there's no audience, no recognition, just you and your thoughts. That's when authenticity is born. It's easy to stay aligned when everything feels good, but strength reveals itself in moments when you have every reason to give up and still choose not to. Sometimes people ask how to become stronger. The answer isn't in doing more, but in learning how to pause, to listen, to understand what your emotions are trying to say before acting on them. Because emotions, even uncomfortable ones, are messages, signals guiding you toward balance. When ignored, they create chaos. When understood, they become wisdom. In the quiet of reflection, strength begins to take shape. It's not something you build overnight. It's cultivated through small choices. The choice to stay patient when frustrated, to speak gently when angry, to try again after failure. These simple acts, repeated over time, create the kind of resilience that no hardship can destroy. People often search for clarity as if it were a destination, a place you arrive at once everything makes sense. But clarity is not found by thinking harder. It's found by listening deeper. It emerges slowly, like dawn breaking after a long night. You don't force the sun to rise. You create the conditions to witness it. The same is true for the mind. When you stop trying to control every thought and emotion, you create space for insight to appear naturally. The truth has a way of revealing itself when the noise fades, but that requires courage. The courage to sit in stillness without escaping into distractions. Modern life rarely gives us silence. We fill every gap with noise, notifications, voices, opinions, endless scrolling. It keeps us occupied, but also disconnected. Because the more we consume, the less we hear ourselves. Strength begins when you can sit with your own mind and not run from it. Stillness doesn't mean inaction. It's an active awareness, a way of seeing clearly before taking the next step. People often think they need to fix everything immediately, but wisdom grows in pauses. It's in those quiet spaces that intuition speaks, showing you not what to do next, but who you are becoming. Every person carries a story, not just about the past, but about who they believe they are. These stories shape perception. They influence what we think we deserve, what we avoid, and how we love. True self-understanding begins when you question those stories. Are they still serving you, or have they become cages built from old versions of yourself? When people begin to awaken to their inner world, they sometimes feel lost. Old habits no longer fit, but new ones haven't yet formed. It's a strange, in-between place, uncomfortable but necessary. This is the space where transformation happens. Strength means staying present through it, instead of rushing to escape back into the familiar. There is no growth without discomfort. Not because life wants to test you, but because awareness expands through contrast. You only understand calm after chaos, compassion after hurt, freedom after restraint. The point isn't to avoid the difficult parts. It's to meet them consciously, knowing they are shaping the person you're meant to become. Clarity is not a single revelation. It's a gradual unfolding. One day you realize that what once consumed your thoughts no longer controls you. You start to respond differently, not because life changed, but because you did. You stopped reacting and started seeing. That's when strength turns into wisdom. The most peaceful people are not those who avoid challenges, but those who have learned to dance with them. They understand that every situation, no matter how heavy, carries something to teach. They no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather, "What is this trying to show me?" That shift in perception changes everything. Emotional maturity is not about suppressing feelings. It's about being honest with them without being ruled by them. Anger, sadness, fear, they are all part of the human spectrum. They exist for a reason. The goal is not to erase them, but to use them as indicators. They reveal where healing or change is needed. Many people chase happiness as if it's a permanent state. But happiness is not something you hold. It's something you experience when you align with meaning. It comes and goes like the tide. What stays is peace, a quiet contentment that doesn't depend on circumstances. That's the fruit of understanding yourself deeply. Sometimes clarity comes not through thinking, but through letting go, of control, of resistance, of the constant need to know. The mind resists uncertainty, but the soul grows within it. The unknown is not the enemy. It's the space where new possibilities take shape. When you learn to rest in uncertainty, you begin to see life as a teacher rather than an obstacle. Each experience becomes an opportunity to refine your awareness. And with that awareness comes a quiet confidence. Not the confidence of knowing everything, but the peace of knowing you can handle whatever comes next. That is the heart of strength, trust,
trusting yourself to navigate without a map, to move forward without full understanding, to believe that meaning will reveal itself in time. This kind of trust doesn't come from logic. It comes from experience, from walking through uncertainty and realizing you were never truly lost.
With time, you begin to notice that life's most important lessons rarely come wrapped in comfort. They arrive disguised as endings, disappointments, or silence. The mind calls them losses, but the soul recognizes them as openings, space being made for something new to grow. We spend so much energy trying to hold things together. Relationships, careers, identities, routines. We believe stability means control. But life has its own rhythm, one that often requires releasing what no longer serves our growth. Strength isn't found in holding on. It's found in knowing when to let go with grace. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means trusting that what is real will remain, even if everything else changes. Sometimes it's the act of releasing that allows you to see clearly again. You start to understand that peace doesn't depend on what stays or leaves. It depends on how deeply you can stay connected to yourself through it all. True resilience is quiet. It doesn't seek attention or validation. It's the simple, steady presence of someone who has faced uncertainty enough times to stop fearing it. They've realized that nothing external can truly complete them, because what they were searching for was never outside to begin with. In a world that celebrates speed, stillness becomes a form of rebellion. To slow down, to think, to breathe, to simply be, that's how you reclaim your awareness. You begin to notice small things again, the warmth of sunlight, the rhythm of your breath, the way silence feels alive. These moments are not distractions from life, they are life itself. When people reconnect with presence, they often rediscover something they didn't even know was missing, themselves. Beneath all the noise and striving, there is a quiet intelligence guiding you. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And the more you listen, the clearer it becomes. Self-awareness is not about perfection. It's about honesty, seeing your patterns without judgment, your emotions without denial, and your potential without arrogance. From that honesty comes real freedom, the freedom to change, to grow, to choose again. Every person you meet mirrors something within you. The ones who inspire you reflect qualities you already carry but have not yet embraced. The ones who challenge you reveal places where healing is needed. When you start viewing others through this lens, resentment begins to fade. You stop taking everything personally, and compassion becomes natural. The more awareness grows, the less life feels like a series of random events. You start to sense an underlying coherence, a rhythm connecting everything. You realize that the same intelligence that turns seasons, moves tides, and heals wounds is also at work within you. It's not something to control, it's something to align with. Wisdom doesn't mean knowing all the answers. It means being at peace with not having them. The need for certainty fades, replaced by curiosity. You begin to see each day as an opportunity to explore rather than to prove. And in that openness, joy quietly returns, not as a sudden burst, but as a steady warmth that never fully leaves. Strength and softness are not opposites. They are partners. Strength without softness becomes rigidity. Softness without strength becomes fragility. But when they coexist, they create balance, a calm, steady energy that flows through life without resistance. In the end, what defines a person is not how much they have achieved, but how deeply they have understood themselves. Have they learned to stay kind in chaos, to be patient in confusion, to keep their heart open in a world that often asks them to close it? The journey inward is not an escape from life, it's a return to it.
Because once you understand your own mind, you no longer get lost in it. You can engage with the world without being consumed by it. That is the quiet power of self-awareness. So, if you ever find yourself feeling lost, remember, it's not the end, it's the turning point. Confusion is the soil where clarity grows. Every unanswered question, every delay, every pause carries meaning. Don't rush to escape it. Stay, observe, breathe. The understanding you seek is already forming, just beneath the surface. And one day, without warning, you'll realize you're no longer searching for strength, because you've become it.